More than a 200-ton aircraft was about to turn into a glider with no engines in the dark skies over the Atlantic Ocean. Thousands of feet below was the deep ocean. Above was the darkness of night, and there was no runway anywhere nearby to land until this day. In commercial aviation history, there had never been a recorded case where all the fuel was lost because of a fuel leak. There was no pilot who had ever dealt with such a situation. No training manual, no checklist, no precedent. Hello friends, it was around 11 p.m. on August 23, 2001. At Toronto's Pearson International Airport, there was a busy atmosphere. In the summer season, the gates were crowded with people. Families, couples, and students were boarding their flights from different gates. And at one of these gates stood Air Transat Flight TSC-236, a Canadian airline aircraft. A regular overnight flight going from Toronto to Portugal. On this flight, there were 293 passengers and 13 crew members, a total of 306 people. Most of the passengers were Portuguese origin Canadians who were traveling to Portugal during summer vacation. At 12:52 a.m. on August 24th, the flight took off from Toronto. To reach Lisbon, Portugal, the aircraft had to cross the entire Atlantic Ocean. Within minutes of takeoff, the plane climbed to an altitude of 39,000 feet and continued its journey. Passengers had dinner, some people watched movies, children fell asleep, and slowly the cabin lights dimmed, like a completely normal transatlantic flight. The aircraft was quietly flying through the darkness above the Atlantic Ocean. But inside the cockpit, something was happening that would soon make this flight one of the most dangerous flights in aviation history. The people sitting on this flight had no idea that a ticking time bomb was running. In the middle of the ocean, all the fuel of this plane was about to run out, and both of its engines were about to shut down. The command of this flight was in the hands of a pilot who had once spent years in prison on drug smuggling charges. But no one on the plane knew about this secret. Friends, the beginning of this problem actually happened about 9 days earlier, where a difference of just a few millimeters decided the fate. On August 15th, 2001, during a routine inspection, the maintenance team found metal chips in the oil system of the aircraft's right engine. This was a very serious sign that something inside the engine was wrong. 2 days later, on August 17th, metal particles were found again. Now the airline had no option left. The engine had to be replaced. But the problem was that Air Transat did not have a spare engine available, so they borrowed an engine from Rolls-Royce. Now imagine your phone charger gets damaged and you use a similar charger that looks the same, but the internal pin is slightly different. It might work for a few days, but eventually it will show. Exactly the same thing happened with this airplane. The replacement engine was an older design, but the airplane itself used a newer system. From the outside, everything looked the same. Inside, the fuel and hydraulic tube fittings were slightly different. This difference was not noticed during inspection. The work started on the night of August 17th. The mechanics had a tight deadline because of a scheduled flight on Sunday afternoon. The aircraft's hydraulic pump could not fit properly on the new engine because a fuel tube was coming in the way. When the lead technician searched the Airbus parts list, he discovered that the fuel and hydraulic tube designs were very different. He tried opening the Rolls-Royce manual on 3 different computers, but all 3 times the network was down. The service bulletin manual actually existed offline on CDs, but the lead technician did not even know that those CDs existed. The document on which hundreds of lives depended was inside the same building, but no one tried to find it. The time pressure was extremely high. The plane had to be ready, so the technician took a shortcut. He installed the new design fuel tubes, but left the old design hydraulic tubes unchanged. The Rolls-Royce service bulletin clearly stated that the fuel tube and hydraulic tube must always be replaced as a set. When the hydraulic system was pressurized, the hydraulic line flange rotated closer to the fuel line. 2 metal tubes that should never touch each other started rubbing together, but no one noticed it. Everything looked normal. There was no leak, no warning, so the plane was cleared for flight. With every flight, vibration and pressure caused the 2 tubes to move closer and rub against each other. Slowly, the wall of the fuel tube started wearing down. It was only a matter of time before it would completely break. Now let's return to the night of August 24th. Flight 236 was flying above the Atlantic Ocean. Everything seemed normal. At 4:38 a.m., the flight data recorder recorded that fuel was decreasing very rapidly. After hours of rubbing between the hydraulic and fuel lines, An L-shaped crack had formed in the fuel tube. Fuel started leaking from this crack, but there was no alarm in the cockpit. No warning light. None of the 306 people on board had any idea that the plane's fuel was silently raining into the Atlantic Ocean.